I do think that you have to say not even really because they are currently the reigning champions, because I do think that if you replay that last final like 10 times, GenG probably wins like 8 of those. So I did think, GenG was the better team than Hanwha. Most people did coming into the World Championship. But I think with Zeus's addition, you have to look at Hanwha's roster because of the changes that have been made in T1 and GenG and say this team is likely to kind of hit the ground running the fastest, right? So I would tip them as like pre-MSI winners.
This is the problem I have. I wanted to see where you're going to go on that, because I know what you mean. Like, if the other teams had all made massive moves, I would agree. On paper, you'd have to give it to Hanwha Life because they already were really good, and potentially they'd done an upgrade and also taken a player from T1. But I will say, the problem is, GenG is still the exact same top side. Ruler did play in the past with Jovi anyway, and then it's only really the support guy that we're unsure about. So I also think it's those two. Those are the 1A, 1B for me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The potential of the GenG roster is really incredible. Like, if those 4 players are just actually the best at their role, this could be a really insane EuroLeague of Legends.
And there were 2 support players in LCK last year that were thought of as being kind of better than the teams that they were on. One of them was Pleta, and the other one was Duro. They picked up Duro. Duro really did have some strong engaged performances. Chovy and Ruler have now signed 3-year deals, so they'll be with GenG for a long time. The criticisms you're going to look for is like, Duro has to step up on this team.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I will point out that GenG was very good at taking delight from Breon and then immediately kind of using their support system and staff and everything to elevate him to a point where now he's like a superstar level support player. And so that was really beneficial to them. The thing that holds me back a little bit about GenG, even though I do think they would be very...
It's a random joke, but technically, Coach Kim from GenG did win Worlds with Baolan, so he can do anything with support players, Monty. He is a genius. He's a support whisperer.
So I do think that there's question marks around Duro. I don't think you can look at Ruler's performance last year and say it was his best. Now, it's my personal belief that Ruler can easily snap back into form. But if we're just, from the JDG that we saw in 2023, but his performance in 2024 it's not like he was the best ADC in LPL, not even by a long shot. He wasn't top 3, in my opinion. So I think that there will be questions like, is Ruler as good as he was on GenG or on the initial like JDG super team roster? Those are going to have there are going to be questions swirling about that. I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be fine. I think he was probably demotivated last year from the changes that were made to JDG because that wasn't obviously the team that he signed up to play with and was very close to Golden Roading with. So I could understand why he might have a dip in motivation. Also, I think coming back to Korea will remotivate him, but he does have to play with a much less experienced player in Duro in his lane. But they have kept together the core of this roster. They did lose probably some of the shot calling that they had with Lehens and some of the in-game leadership. So that I think is concerning, which is why I tend to just put Hanwha like a little bit of ahead. Like the upgrade to Hanwha in the top lane is still there. Peanut is still one of the best shot callers in the entire world, and they will have more tools to utilize. And if you literally just look at some of Hanwha's games, I mean, look at the finals. Thorin was like straight up losing them games in the final. I mean, that Camille game was fucking tragic. And this team was able to win a final where they had kind of default losses with some of Doran's play. And Zeus is a player who can really put you over the top. So for me, I agree it's kind of like 1A, 1B, but there's just too much unknown about will Ruler get back into shape? Sure. Is Duro ready to like transcend to the next level? But certainly the pieces are there. We've seen GenG elevate support players before. Having a veteran player like Ruler in your lane is certainly going to help develop Duro, but it might be a little bit rough at first.
But it is sweet. I already thought Hanwha Life actually had an underrated flaw to their game. Like, I actually think it took a lot to beat them in series, even at Worlds they were good. Like, this was a good fucking team. Yeah, people forget even the series they played against GenG was fucking straight fire. That was a great best of 3. So I do think they were already really good. Zeus, by the way, is an upgrade. Like, I actually think that is one of the craziest off-season steals I've ever seen, mate. Like, I did T1 gave him up. Like, if I was T1 for real, that's the player I'm paying after Faker the most money. I'm saying that's the guy I have to have. So I can't believe they let him go. So I'm with you. put it this way, the difference is, I can't see a world where Hanwha Life is below top 2, but I do just think if GenG, if those 4 players, Keen, Canyon, Chovy and Ruler, really play at the level that's possible, this could be one of the craziest lineups ever. Like, this has like KT Super Team vibes about, you know, where you just look and you're like, bro, like, I take 2 or 3 of these players as my stars. I can have 4 at once. And the best part about Ruler rejoining Chovy is, bro, it worked. They just looked awesome before. They had no issues at all playing together. So, and the key thing with Keen is his whole career, he could be a carry and he could be the weak side. So he can easily be the person who just pivots depending on the game. By the way, Zeus can do that for Hanwha too, but I actually think Zeus potentially being a carry threat in Hanwha was also a big upgrade for them. So I'm with you. I think these 2 teams are fucking insane, mate. They both look really good.
Yeah, there's interesting like champ pool flexibility between Zeus and Zeka as well. It really feels like this is a roster with a lot of threats from
imagine if
Hanwha.
champions come into the meta, mate. They're gonna have fucking run the draft. Yeah.
Yone is obviously going to be a huge pick if it's in meta for them. It's going to be a really good team. Hanwha has multiple world champions. They've got 3 world champions on the roster too, all from different world championship lineups, which rarely happens that you get 3 players who all won worlds separately later on the same lineup.
It's also a bummer, Monty, because I can't handle the fact that when they're in the dressing room, Zeka's like, hey, I remember when I won in 2022. And then Viper's like, well, I won in 2021, of course. And Zeus is like, I won the last couple. And then Peanut's just there like.
But Thorin, this is how Peanut gets his title, man. This is how he gets his chip.
I hope it is, Monty. I hope it is.
And we've talked about this before, but this Hanwha roster has the upside to be the best League of Legends roster of all.
It's mega. Yeah. By the way, one thing I think is quite cool.
That ceiling is there.
Here's the coolest thing I think about the last 3 off seasons, Monty, is after each off season, it's not just like we're doing it for hype like people do in sports. Each off season, you literally get 1 or 2 lineups, usually one in the LPL, one in the LCK, where you can really look and go, maybe this is the team that's finally going to do the Grand Slam. Like, it's actually really plausible. It's mad because each season when they change, you keep thinking, oh, JDG moved the team. JDG, you think it's going to stop. They keep making them. Like, same with Hanwha Life, absolutely. Again, what I want people to think of is this. Right? I feel like people's brains are still too broken on how Zika used to be. Bro, if you think of Zika in the last 6 months of 2024, he's at worst like a top 3 or top 4 mid lane in the whole world, bro. Like, he's really good. At times, he probably even, especially when like that fucking ADC battle was, they probably spiked even higher, actually. If you look at this roster again, like I said about the floor, bro, who's bad in this roster? Like, I think, by the way, again, I said this in the past, in the same way as Zeus going over is like a wild one. I always thought, even though I understand for the shot calling, I always thought GenG ever letting fucking Delight go is crazy to me. I think that guy is so unbelievably good. Like, in my opinion, he is going to go along with Carrier, and one day at the end of league, it will be like, who's the best supports ever? Because this guy's even good at all the internationals, mate. He's just fucking fire. He's not even the big name. They're all just mega on this roster. This looks really sick. As long as Zika doesn't get some nightmare meta, how can this team be bad? They can't.
Yeah, and even, Zika's not good at control mages, but he is better than he used to be. And last summer, he was on fire. I mean, he was really good. The spring moments with the Corki, rough. When it got to summer, he was really flying, though. He was the second best mid laner behind Chovy and LCK in summer. I don't even think that's remotely controversial. And they have the shot calling and they have the synergy, and Viper is obviously great. So I'm excited about watching Hanwha.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.